Welcome into Locked On Royals as we are joined by a very special guest today. And we try to do this every once in a while, so we really appreciate those that put in the effort to set this up. But we are joined by a Royals prospect in Josh Hansell. So first things first, Josh, thanks for joining the show.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with your season here. And for those that love following Royals minor league baseball, love following the prospects in the system, how would you evaluate your season so far and any new things you've been working on to try to better your game?
Yeah. I think so far the season's going great. Day in and day out, just continuing to work on the things that I need to work on. Whether that's stuff on the field, repertoire. I think a big thing for me is just building a solid routine, in my preparation, and all that.
We've heard so much talk about the Royals pitching development, especially the big league level, but also going down to the minor league level. Any coaches so far that have really helped you, fine tune your stuff, craft certain things? Because that certainly has been a talking point in Kansas City, but for you, down in Columbia and Quad Cities, what has that been like?
Yeah. I mean, the organization as a whole, has done a really great job, when it comes to just the development for me specifically. Whether it's analytics, kind of looking in at the pitch development, the mental side of the game, I think is it's a big one for sure. You have a lot of experience, in this organization. It's hard not to get better just being around that. So just overall, whether it's the mental side of the game and again, baseball side of the game, they do a really good job of working on the things that you need to work on. So
Now we hear so much in the game about, old school, trusting your gut, the mental part of it, but also then this analytical side, being so data driven. It feels there's kind of this separation between, how certain people watch baseball, but also how certain people coach and play baseball. Where would you put yourself on that line? Do you feel you're more of the, analytical side? Are you more of the old school side? Or are you kind of a combination of both?
yeah, I'd say probably a combination of both. I do think that, on the field stuff and getting away from the analytics comes first, but I think it is a tool that can be used, um, to get better. So, uh, yeah, I do think, it is a game at the end of the day, and your eyes don't really lie. You kind of got to follow that, but, um, in this day and age, it is a tool that can be used, to help. So, kind of right in the middle there.
If there's one, goal that you want to reach by the end of the year, you've already done a lot this year, and I know it's still relatively early on, but if there's one thing you're looking to, late August, September, that you want to say that I accomplished this in 2025, what would that be?
I don't think I have a specific goal. Really just taking it day by day, keeping the intensity high day in and day out, and continuing to get better. Obviously staying healthy. Um, but I think, taking care of those things, it'll handle itself out, by the end of the season.
Now, let's go back to maybe more of your childhood and growing up and playing baseball. I love to ask this question a lot because there's always been different answers around there. But if there was one guy when you were pitching, growing up, trying to model yourself after, who would that have been?
Um, Honestly, didn't really have like one guy kind of modeled my game after. I kind of like to watch guys that had, taller frames. Um, that way I could learn, kind of see how their bodies move, the way they pitch, repertoire. Um, but not wouldn't say that there was like one player.
Yeah. Well, in that case, then, because I have gotten that answer before, guys, they weren't trying to mimic somebody, but, looking back at your childhood and whether it be junior high, high school, something like that, was there a point when you went, maybe I don't need to mimic after somebody because I do have a career in this. I will be able to pitch professionally. Was there a certain age where you went, what I'm doing right now is probably going to be good enough to get me a future in this game?
To be honest, I wouldn't say there was a specific moment for me. I played three sports in high school: basketball, football, baseball. So baseball season was just a third of my year. Um, and it was just a game, having fun. And I didn't quite, see the big picture until later. It'd always been a dream of mine. Growing up, my dad had played, so it was always a dream of mine to continue playing. Not until till later in high school did I realize that, it could be a possibility. So
Now, as a three-sport athlete, was baseball by far and away, your favorite there, or was football or basketball kind of the one you enjoyed more? And then just as you got older, you realized that baseball was going to be that one for you.
yeah, I think baseball had always been my favorite. Just pretty much grew up around the game with my dad. His old teammates were always around, and I'd say that just that in itself, uh, my love for the game grew in that sense. But basketball, football, I do think they were very important and well shaping me as an athlete. Basketball, you're moving the body differently, as opposed to baseball, and same with football. So.
Now, I'm always fascinated to know about the journey to certain organizations, and for you, it can be as simple as I got a phone call from this team. They told me they were interested, and therefore I joined the team. But what was that like for you with the Royals and first getting in contact? Who you were talking with? When they showed that interest, and you can start from the very beginning and go all the way up until when you actually started pitching in the organization, or just how quickly things really moved for you.
Yeah, I think I got in contact with the Royals during my junior year at ASU, and it was after the season. I was invited kind of like an open day. So, open day, was able to go talk with some of the staff there, tour the place. Um, Little did I know that that would be the team that ended up drafting me. So it's kind of cool to look back and see that. Um, but yeah, it was great. That was my kind of first taste with the Royals, was, that open day and meeting the staff. It was good.
Now, in this current year, from Columbia to Quad Cities, we see all the time about, prospects getting the call, how they're told, how they're moving up through systems. What was that experience for you? And I know last year, experience in Columbia, now experience in Quad Cities. Is that something where maybe you start to get the feel of, I'm pitching pretty well. I know I should probably be up at the next level. Or was it kind of surprising to you of, all right, I'm moving up from low A to high A?
Yeah, I try to take it day by day. Um, you know, the uncontrollables, I try not to think about it. It's just taking it day by day. Getting your work in at the end of the day. It's really the only thing I focus on. So whatever comes after that, you embrace. But just taking care of the day by day.
Now, you talked about Arizona State, the Royals getting in contact your junior year. How do you feel like ASU prepared you for the professional level? I know years back I talked with Alec Marsh, who pitched there, and he talked about some of the things they helped him with. So for you, what did they do specifically to make sure that you were ready to pitch in the pros?
Yeah, I think, ASU, the culture in general it's unmatched. I think that the culture there was the biggest thing that prepared me to where I'm at now. When you have guys showing up every day, they put in the work every day. It's contagious. And there's kind of a confidence in that, knowing that, you're taking the field with the guys that you've been in the trenches with, working. Um, so I think that kind of just has been instilled in me prior to professional baseball. So was able to kind of take all the things that I'd learned from that, and kind of roll with it, entering in with the Royals.
Last couple of questions for you. Really appreciate your time. On a start day, um, always love hearing about the routines of certain guys, and some are pretty easygoing. It's I get up at a certain time, I get to the ballpark, I stretch, I get ready to go, I got a pregame meal. But for you, is there anything that you like to do? What time you like? Let's say this is a 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock start time. What are you doing in the hours leading up to the game?
Yeah, I'd say I'm probably on the more chill side of the routine. I try not to treat it too differently during the day. Wake up, eat breakfast, lunch, kind of head to the field a couple hours before, 3 hours before, and treat it like any other day. When you put in the work in the bullpens and you treat each day with the same intent, um, it just becomes part of your routine. So I'd say it's a pretty chill day, routine wise.
And so far for this, adaptation, I know that when you're going from Columbia to Quad Cities, you're moving around. You already did it too, from going from ASU to then professional ball and bouncing around. How long does it usually take you to get acclimated to a certain team, a certain city? Because when you are a prospect and you're pitching well, you might be in three different cities in 1 year. So how long for you does it take to kind of get settled, get to know everybody, get to know the coaches, and really feel comfortable?
Yeah, I've played and practiced with a lot of these guys in spring training, so on that side, it was pretty comfortable. Great group of guys here in Quad Cities. But the organization as a whole, there's a lot of good guys. So it's not really, I wouldn't say it takes a while. It was pretty smooth, the transition from Columbia to Quad Cities. Um, yeah, made it pretty smooth for me. So.
And last question for you here, and it can be as open as you want it to be, it can be as closed off as you want it to be. But for a lot of Royals fans out there that want to get to know you a little bit better, you want to give one tidbit about you. This can be about your game. This can be about, a thing you like to do. This can be your favorite team or something you grew up doing, a team you grew up watching. What would that be for those out there wanting to know a little bit more about you?
Um, I always like to start with that. I'm half Dominican, so I speak a little bit of Spanish. My mom was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, so growing up, I'd spent a lot of time down there. Um, would usually go every year, so entering into pro ball was actually pretty cool for me because all these little towns and cities that my teammates were from, I had been prior. Um, so it was really cool to connect with them and kind of see the reactions because some people don't know that. So yeah,
Well, Josh, really appreciate your time, man, and good luck the rest of the season.
yep. Thank you, Jack.